Bodybuilding fans and athletes around the world, welcome to another Primetime Muscle. So glad you're with us. I'm Tim Wilkins, joined by these two masters of the universe, Tara Kilgindy.
Great to be here, Tim. I love your outfit. And I must say, I do like the yellow combination by Christopher.
What?
But there's a surprise. Chris,
What?
fit check. Oh, can you get it up?
I dig it. I dig. Can we get a close-up on the shoes? Carter, look at that.
Yes.
I got to tell you, stay right
Yes.
there. I like those shoes. I could see myself as a Brazilian wearing those yellow shoes.
You better be running through the favelas, though, because they'll be stealing them from you.
Absolutely.
Those are Louboutins.
Those are about $1,000, right?
A little over.
They're beautiful shoes, Chris.
A little over.
My birthday's coming up, Chris.
Well, you need a minute to get that down. You're going to take the shot off, Chris, while he puts his foot to the ground. Thanks for joining us. Guys, the Arnold Classic was a great show.
Yes.
And it starts off, of course. I don't want to go into the pros just yet because we have so much to talk about. But there was one thing that was one of the biggest sensations leading up to and the day before the Arnold Pros that I cannot go without covering, and that is Sam Sulik.
Yep.
Yep, that was it, huh?
He did it.
Good talk, everybody.
He did that.
So about Samson.
So I'll give you a little bit of breakdown. Sam Sulik, he is an internet sensation. He, obviously he did his first NPC show in Las Vegas. He won the overall, and then he went to Arnold Classic and was able to conquer his pro card. I think this kid is very good. I just don't want the pressure on him to be that huge once he does his pro debut, once he moves on into the higher competition. I think he's a great kid. I think he's great for the sport. I think people are going to learn more about him. But let's take it easy. If he places 7th in his first pro show, let's not, destroy the kid.
Which is more than likely could happen because.
Yeah.
You think he's going to be 7th? I don't think he'll be that high.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're going against veterans, guys that's been doing this at the highest level in the sport. So, I mean, that whatever he places, it's going to be what it is. But you want to get in there early and see where you land, see where you're at, and then if you want to take a year or so to try to revamp and get better, then that's good. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Jake Infacino that took 3rd in the super heavyweight. That's my guy. He's took 3rd in the nationals, and then he's going to be a pro soon.
Guys, I'm going to go a different route on this. And I'll build off what you said a minute ago. But I'm going to start by saying, I know we judge against who was there at the time. And when you get your pro card, you get your pro card. Get ready, all your haters and jealous and whatnot. When I did North Americans last year, there were 18 guys in the over 50D class. Over 50D.
D.
6 of them could have gone pro, and 3 of them could have been top 5 at any show they did ever. So don't get too far ahead of yourself. But I'm going to say something interesting, Tara. And I'm going to direct this to Sam, and I'm going to say it from the coach. I coach kids who ask me about you all the time. I had my millennial son ask me about you the other time. I do not think you're good for the sport. I think you're garbage for the sport, and garbage as an influencer. And I think the Jake Cutlers and the Phil Heaths of the world need to take you aside and say, you got a great future ahead. If you want to see 30, there's some things that need to change. You have 6 to 10 million young people following you. You're eating like you know what. You show it on your skin. You're taking things that are way beyond your skill level, build to your max first,
Yes.
and build from there.
And learn.
I was contemplating doing this, and the clip of a Primetime Muscle, as I'm thinking about all this, that we played was about longevity. I'm telling you this as someone who cares about the sport, the youth that follow you, and Sam, I care about you. Knock it off. Slow down. I saw him post a video the other day that said, you only see the years that I've posted online, not all the years that I've put in. You're 23. There aren't a lot of years. There's not a lot of background.
No.
Slow down, take your time, keep your pro card active, and when it's right, build safely.
Wow.
Well, damn.
Wow.
Well,
I mean,
damn.
if you are Sam Sulik listening to this, I think you should take the criticism in a positive way because Tim has been in the business longer than most of us. I think both of you guys have been in the business for what, 30, 40 years? And I
40.
think it's a
Well,
very
35.
positive, it's a very positive, it feels like a dad telling his son, knock it off, be careful with your health. That's what I got, and I think that's what Sam Sulik should get. This is a guy that's concerned about me, and I appreciate what you're saying, and I think Sam and his fans should appreciate.
And I do hope that. And that's one of the things, when you've got a generation of kids coming up that
Yeah.
are following the Trend Twins and the Sam Sulik,
Right.
they're called followers for a reason. This is a very dangerous cult to be in. I say it out of concern and I say it out of care, not out of jealousy. I'm not a hater.
It's not the youngest thing you want to. You don't want to be the youngest to do this and the youngest. Just like, I mean, you want to be 30s and 40s and still walking around on this earth. You got to take care.
Yeah, if I was a
Gotta
bodybuilder, I'd
take
be
care.
shooting to be Dexter Jackson
Gotta
and
take
Brandon
care.
Curry.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Arnold. Let's talk about Samson Dauda, whose lead-in pictures were just amazing.
And Tim, he did look great, okay? He looked incredible, amazing. I thought he was bigger than the Olympia. He is huge, he's massive, side chest. His back lat spread is impressive. Is a lot better than a few years back. I love Samson. The lines were there. He's an incredible bodybuilder. We all know why he didn't beat Derek Lunsford, and the reason is he should have been a little bit tighter. I think that's one aspect, but I would also be a little bit careful now about adding more size because he's got that small waist and you want to keep it there, right? Any expansion of the midsection can be very dangerous for a guy that has some of the most beautiful lines we've seen.
Yes, and if people are calling you a person of the best physique on the planet, you know, keeping that waist tight, under control, you're posing, you know, from the back can still add a little bit of pop there, a little bit more development there. I could see that. But I thought also with the posing, got a little winded, got a little like he was on the ropes a little bit.
Well, let's
But a
look here.
Mr. Olympia can bring, you know, you got to bring that total package. It's one of the biggest competition in the world, the Olympia.
I don't want to talk too much in the comparison between him and Derek. We'll get to that. But what was different other than it was a bit more size, but did it have the density that we wanted from the Olympia?
It was more size. I thought the arms were bigger up on the chest. I mean, his chest looked massive. A lot of people were talking about, well, you know, Andrew Jack looked amazing. He could have placed, you know, past Samson. I completely disagree. Samson has the flaring quads, and that's what Andrew Jack needs. So, guys, right off the bat, in terms of balance, Samson Dauda is a superior bodybuilder than Andrew Jack. He has the small waist.
Hey.
We needed to be tighter a little bit on the midsection. We needed to have more separation on the legs. And from Friday to Saturday, he improved. So I'm not panicking about Samson. What I'm saying is that Samson Dauda took second at the Arnold. It wasn't what he was expecting. But if this man comes in just a little bit more conditioned at the Olympia, he could very well win and maintain his title.
Let's run it, Chris, while you break this down.
Yeah, so I mean, I was sitting from the left, so when he was posing, I could see like a little bit of distinction down here, down low. And that's been an issue before, but at the Olympia this past year it was not. So when he came up here, very impressive here, ready to set up the shot, I would keep pressuring the legs harder, keep pressuring the legs. Right here, stop, come back. Come back down. Bring this elbow back down. Just rewind. Okay, right here, stop. Right here, he never really utilizes this full lat. This pose can be tinkered down, this elbow a little bit lower, this elbow a little bit higher. Utilize this in this pose. That's gonna bring a more impressive pose. He does it every single time. I watch it for years now, You're never really utilizing this full, extended, contracted lat.
Well, guys, as he's doing this, though, we see this is in real time. It seems like he's moving from pose to pose very quickly and not getting a chance to completely move throughout the full availability of the muscle on these poses.
Correct, Tim. One of the things that Dennis James mentioned is that a lot of these guys, maybe because, Arnold loves the posing, they go in there and they want to be artistic, and sometimes they forget to just hit the pose. You gotta hit a front double biceps. You gotta hit a front lat spread. The judges need to see that. So I do agree with you. Maybe just slow down a little bit so we can appreciate the beautiful physique.
And also just an inch or so more, turn these knuckles a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and with an extension, and that's a whole nother pose, a bigger pose, more impressive pose.
You've talked about that over and over, Chris, how that brings the peak out. Like most guys are missing the peak. If we could run this through just a little bit more, we'll get to see the full gamut here.
So that was it.
Arms do look bigger if it's humanly possible.
And you can tell he's excited, right? And maybe that's what triggered the speed.
Yeah.
But right here could have been tighter, right? You can see that he was a little bit tighter here, especially on Friday. The back double biceps, is not as good as Derek's, but then again, who has it? And the back lat spread is getting better. Chest is massive. I still love the lines. I still love the way he looks. He looks like a statue, and I love that.
Stunning physique. Chris, another posing thing that where I would have gone with that, you've talked about this in the past. So slowing this down, hitting that back double bi, and taking one more move to open it up will open that entire process up.
Yeah, because in the back double bicep, you still want to feel the pressure in the lats, just like you do in a lat spread. So you still want those lats pressuring out when you have the back double when you have your arms up in the back double bicep.
There's a couple posing nuances. So, okay, now we have a legitimate battle on our hands.
Well, Tim, I did the recap with Dennis James, Bob Ciccarillo, and Chris Cormier. And I asked them, after what you guys saw in Ohio, right, who's the favorite to win? And, I think Chris also agreed. Chris, Dennis, and Bob, they categorically said that the favorite to win is still Samson Dauda. They said, Tarek, despite the fact that Derek beat him in Ohio, I still believe Samson is the favorite to maintain the Olympia. They believe that now Samson is pissed off and he's going to come even better at the Olympia and reach that 95% physique or 100% physique that can be unbeatable because of his lines and size.
Well, we've seen this play out with Ronnie Coleman back in the day. I think it was 2003 when he came pissed off for months on end, suffered a loss before the Olympia, and came back with a whole nother look as far as density and sharpness, and that's enough to do it. It's to lose your title to Derek Lunsford.
That was the Gunter Schlierkamp, New Orleans. Yeah. So, and that had to be a lot of the fire under Derek to come back bigger, harder, better, and go after. So that head-to-head rivalry, and then you got fans around the world saying, you got Mr. Olympia Hadi Chupan waiting in the wings. Don't mess with it.
I think Hadi looked at this plot here, and he said to himself, I'm poised to win the Olympia. Because Samson's Achilles heel is what? Conditioning. What is Hadi's great advantage? Is conditioning. Was Hadi as conditioned as he was when he won the Olympia in 2024? No. But now this is all he needs to focus on, is coming in condition, and a lot of people are going to say, Hadi, you are the guy. Samson needs to close the door. He can't allow these guys that don't have the mass that he has, that don't have the lines that he has, to beat him because they're more conditioned. He needs to close the door. Now, does he need to be the most conditioned guy on stage? He doesn't. He just needs to be a little bit tighter.
95% tile area, but tell the audience what you mean by when you say lines.
Lines. Some people have better lines than others, okay? And if we can B-roll this, if you B-roll Chris Cormier posing, and then you B-roll Marcus Rule. Marcus Rule was a bigger bodybuilder than Chris Cormier. Even if Marcos Rule is more conditioned than Chris Cormier, look at the lines of Chris Cormier's physique. Small waist, large clavicle bones, and flaring quads. Once your waist is this wide, then you might be in trouble. You might end up like me, being a judge.
Well, we'll talk about a lot more of the Arnold Classic when we come back on Primetime Muscle. All right, we are back and we're talking about one of the favorite bodybuilders of the last few years, and that is Andrew Jacked. Guys, he was favored to be in that top 3, and he did not disappoint.
I think it was possibly his best ever, which is scary because he still has a lot of room to improve. I mean, when he's just standing there, when he's not posing, when they're all in the diagonal, and you take a look at him, you go, this guy is incredible. He's a specimen. His upper body is massive, and he looks like a perfect statue. There are a few things that we need to look at. I love the upper body, it's humongous. The shoulders are very big, quite big.
Overpowering big or just...
A little bit overpowering, but if he had monster flaring quads like Samson Dauda, maybe he would start matching those monster shoulders. So he needs to get a little bit more of a flaring quads. He's tall, right? From the back, the glutes and the hamstrings could have been a little bit tighter, even though he's all carved up on top. He gets so hard here, but then we don't see that same hardness on the back, on the glutes and hamstrings. But one thing that Dennis James mentioned is he needs to pose better, in my opinion. The most muscular, he's doing like this, is getting him, dude, you're the biggest dude. Instead of closing here, put both hands on the waist or one, make yourself be the biggest guy, right? Take more space on stage. Overpower Derek, overpower Samson. You have a lot of mass on top. And then in his posing, I saw the most muscular with the tongue. I love the most muscular, we could work something, but the tongue takes a little bit away from it, right? We're looking at the tongue instead of looking at the body, right? It's like, I don't.
You're like, look at
Like,
that
I
tongue
see that
instead of
tongue,
looking at the body.
and then I just want to see the most muscular, man. Like
It worked for Matarazzo.
Hey,
All right. Okay.
All righty.
He is a Ninja Turtle.
Ninja Turtle, yep.
And he is just massive.
Oh, okay.
This is a nice twist. So look, you were so right
So-
there. Those shoulders are massive.
massive shoulders, right? And look,
Even right here with with, I know he's bending the wrist and wanting to, but it's just so many different things you can do to improve those poses. And I know we talk about it a lot. This is not my favorite thing to do, to put the wrist there. I really use my thumbs. And and right here, you could even turn back those shoulders toward the crowd, and you're gonna get way more out of it.
You're going to get the flexion of the rear delts, the rhomboids,
Yeah.
the traps, and the mid
And
back.
the picks.
Yeah.
And the peaks. I mean,
And the peaks.
yeah. Well, it must have been a lot of practice.
I appreciate the fact that he's an artistic guy, right? We complain that guys don't put the time, and you can see he's put the time. He's doing something that's cool and people like it, combined with an amazing
Was there that
physique.
many winds up like that?
What's
See,
that?
he just wasted a lot of time doing a bunch of wind-ups, unless they're trying to go with the music. I don't know.
Now, guys, there's been a couple of spots where I thought the conditioning could have been better, but maybe it looked like it might have been the lighting, because now that I see the feathers in the tries and the striations across the pecs, he was really dialed in.
He
Yeah, he
gets
was-
carved up on top. I mean, his separation, chest, shoulders, biceps is unmatched. You look at him when he first comes in and you go, there's no way somebody's beating him. And then he starts posing and you start seeing a little bit of, hey, we might be a little bit tighter here, maybe a little bit more quads. But he's an impressive
But
specimen.
this was a tribute to Cedric McMillan's routine a few years back. Rest in peace. And I think that's what he was going for here. There's the tongue you spoke of.
Now here's the
But,
classic Andrew. Gonna show his flexibility and bag the floor here.
Yeah,
So off we
I
go.
was gonna say it, but I strode it out.
More tongue. He is so impressive. Okay, we have to talk about this, guys. Sorry about that. With this much,
And look, what's happening? The music messed up again? He's looking at every time somebody MCs
Then look
the
at
show.
the MC.
Like it was the Olympia Bob and now David Bay. Like Tim, if you were emceeing an Andrew Jack show, just be ready for that.
so here's what I gotta ask you. Let's leave this right here, Tarek. Here's what I gotta ask you guys. So a couple years ago, he came onto the scene, blew everybody's mind. Then he comes out, and you're saying this is his best ever, which it is really impressive. What's left for him to crack the top three?
Flaring quads and come in harder from the back.
More lats, lower lat development and size.
He's just missing a few things. If he puts it all together, that's the second coming of Ronnie Coleman. Okay, because genetically he's a freak. If he has flaring quads, I agree with Chris, a little bit more density, a little bit more meat on the back, and he's hard on the hamstrings. This guy is Mr. Olympia.
But
with
he's
the
still-
tongue or without the tongue.
But he still wins like the front double bicep. He makes the front double bicep a most muscular pose. It's crazy to have that many muscles popping out for front double bicep.
He hits a front double biceps and you can see his abs. He's
Everything.
a freak. I mean, he's a freak of nature. I just think he needs to be more polished, and this guy could be Mr. Olympia. I love what he's trying to do artistic. I just think that he needs to channel a little bit. My advice is continue to be artistic, but hit your poses
Be
so the
more.
judges can see your side chest,
But put
so
the-
the judges can see your front double biceps.
But put that physique together even better. Like be more mindful of all the different aspects of from the calves on up to the shoulders. Be more mindful of making everything not showing an imbalance anywhere. Just try to be really balanced.
Tarek had a great, one of my favorite comparisons, analogies of people. Size for the sake of size leans back towards Marcus Rule when it was a mass off. Everybody was just trying to get as massive as possible, crack 300 on the stage. So you guys are constantly trying to tell people with regards to lines that top to bottom with the flair, those beautiful aesthetics, he needs to be mindful of the nuances without packing on unnecessary size and thickening out.
And I know he did some work with Milo Sarshev with the posing. It was just the last 3 days, so it's enough to confuse you a little bit, but not enough to really get something really in concrete. It just all depends on how the teaching goes. But I still think he's very impressive. I still think he's going to be a front runner at the Olympia, and I still think you haven't seen the best of him yet.
I agree with Chris. I have high hopes for this guy. I would not be surprised if he wins the Olympia. My advice is continue to work on the posing, hit the great shots that you know are an advantage to you, right? Posing is the art of showing your strength and hiding your weaknesses. I didn't see a lot of ab shots on this posing here, which is your best shot.
Ab him to death.
Get rid of the tongue, okay? Get rid of the tongue. The Mona Lisa does not have the tongue out. You know that it distracts you, right? It distracts you. I don't
Yeah.
want to see your tongue, dude. You're there because we want to see your great physique. And all of a sudden we saw that tongue and I was like, well, what's going on here? Get rid of the tongue and start posing a little bit more to your advantages.
So I got a question, because we talk about choosing the right show at the right time. So you had a bit of a beachhead or a loggerhead at the beginning, some kind of a stopgap, having the two Mr. Olympias in Derek Lunsford and Samson Dowda there. So cracking that top spot to win your qualification for the Olympia moves a little farther away. It's a harder task. You're dialed in like this. It's 4 weeks between the Arnold and the Detroit Pro that's coming up in a couple days. Does he stay tight and do the Detroit and win that first qualification? What would you do?
I would. I would
Uh,
stay. I'd be on it.
I think he's gonna go back to Texas. That's his show. He's won the last 2-3 years. I think he loves that show. He always comes in great. I think he's gonna use the same strategy, and he's gonna win the Texas and then go to the Olympia.
So you think he's gonna skip Pittsburgh and
New York?
And New York?
You know, I wouldn't. I would be in Pittsburgh. I would be on that stage going against those guys. But Andrew Jack seems to be a little bit like he's one of those guys that he does what he wants, right? He lived in Dubai. We had a show in Dubai, and he didn't compete there, and then he came to Texas, right?
Yeah, I
So
think,
he's one of those guys that he picks his flavors at will. But I would love to see him in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, August 9th is the Texas Pro, so we might have to wait until then. But I would like to get that out of the way.
Well, and then we had the big controversial Martin Fitzwater last year at Run Around in Detroit, Pittsburgh, and goes duking it out. So I have no doubt Martin will be back for one of those 2 or 3 shows.
Martin is doing Pittsburgh, and he's colliding with Nick Walker. Martin Fitzwater and Andrew Jack, they had an issue after Andrew Jack beat him in Texas. Martin Fitzwater said something to the effect that, oh, he was watery, right? And Andrew Jack said, oh, I'm just going to brush it off. Well, it turned out that Martin Fitzwater beat him at the Olympia. So now Andrew Jack, I'm sure he didn't like losing to that guy that said he was watery. So we'll see what happens.
And he posed to Cry Me a River at the at the Arnold UK, didn't he? Wasn't it the Arnold UK?
I believe it was.
It was something in the UK. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
that was his music. So I like that. Come back at him, Andrew.
All right, we've got one more former Mr. Olympia to talk about that was at the Arnold and looked amazing. We're going to talk about Brandon Curry when we come back. All right, this final segment of our coverage of the Arnold and how it went with all these great bodybuilders. This is going to come with one of my favorites, the 2019 Mr. Olympia, Brandon Curry.
Chris and I had a chance to speak to him in Ohio a few weeks ago after the event, and he was really happy, and we were delighted, right? Because we love Brandon Curry. Brandon Curry is one of the most beloved guys in the industry. He is a great Mr. Olympia, but a lot of us were speculating that maybe his best years were past him, and we were all wrong. Okay, a lot of people want to see me saying I was wrong, and listen, I was wrong. I thought Brandon Curry's best performances were in his past, and I thought maybe we wouldn't see an amazing Brandon Curry again. I was wrong. He came to the Arnold Classic and he annihilated. He looked incredible, amazing. He was so good, and I loved seeing him being there. His back double biceps, his side chest was humongous. His legs, the conditioning. He was battling against the top 3 guys in the world. I mean, it was only Heidi that was missing there, right? But Brandon Curry is as good as it gets. I think if he improves a little bit more, he can really knock it out of the park at the Olympia. And if he goes to the Masters Olympia, he is the clear favorite.
Well, you may have counted him out. I never forgot. I never forgot about the work ethic that he has, that he brings. I never forgot about the genetic physique that he brings and that he possesses. I never forgot about him because I've been in talks with him and his wife Brandy over the last few months here, and this was all the plan, was to make anywhere from top 3 to top 5 and he was going to go for the Masters Olympia. If out of the top 5, then it's probably going to be like, okay, we need to think about other things. But as it pans out, he was a force in the show. He was somebody you need to understand that he's not going away anytime soon. He wants to compete. He loves. He's still in love with the sport. He has a great family base. He's training here in the United States now, and I mean, don't count this guy out just yet. He still can place very high in the Olympia.
I did not count him out. What I
well,
said
it sounded
is,
like.
what I said
It
was,
sounded like you. He
a
didn't
lot
really
of us were speculating.
go back and check because you said he didn't have a shot to be in the top 5.
No, I never said that.
Something like that.
No, don't be precise or don't say anything.
Shut your mouth.
So let's look at this. Let's look at this video. I'll get out of Brandon's way. Let him pose.
Damn mouth.
All right. There's been some issues that Brandon's been working on since 2020 to bring. Arms look massive.
And, during his career, a lot of people said, well, your legs do not match your upper body. His legs looked massive, beautiful. And the shape, right? We talk about Samson Dowda's shape and Andrew Jack's shape. His shape was one of the best in the show. I mean, and he had the size on the back double biceps. His front lat spread was amazing. My favorite shot of Brandon Curry was his side chest. He looked impressive on the side chest.
Side chest, most musculars.
Ooh, that was
press.
great.
He was all the trademark shots. I felt he had a little bit more definition in the front quads. He does have a new coach. They're looking at doing some great things coming up. So I look for him to keep moving up.
Okay, guys, here's a classic example. We talk to these young bodybuilders about doing things in time. The quality of this muscle, the quality of the pec, the quality arms, the density of the quads, that takes time to build that kind of quality muscle. It's not just going to happen because you force it.
And that's a great point, Tim. And now look at his posing compared to Andrew Jack. He is hitting his best shots. As a judge, you're sitting there, you're watching this routine, and you're going, okay, what are his best shots? This is a great bodybuilder. Look. So I think that's experience. He's going there and he's showcasing his best.
Can you go back a little bit? He has been in Cam Cormier posing camps. You know that, right?
Okay, yeah. Let's
stop.
Let's stop the whole show.
Stop.
Let's stop the
Stop
whole
right
show
there.
for the Chris Cormier.
Excuse me, that buddy. Excuse me.
Infomercial. That's an infomercial right now.
Okay. Exhibit 8. The thing what he's doing wrong here is he's turning his head that way. Derek did the exact same thing. I don't like it. It's not the way the pose is supposed to be. Bring that chin around about here, and that's a whole different another shot. You don't want to turn back your head around like this. You need to have your head looking down at that peak, and that head right there is going to make a big difference. Then you get a different contraction in the trapezius, and it just sets off the whole pose. Back to you, Bob.
Did he call me Bob?
Yeah, it was, but not like that.
Have I aged?
No, I think
You still got that curl.
I think it's the infomercial. I think that is. Are you having trouble with your back biceps? Is your front quad and side chest giving you problems? Call Chris and Cam Cormier. But wait, there's more.
There you go.
So I just still, Brandon continues to improve. There's those times. There's a fine line in the age of a bodybuilder before the deterioration or the lack of ability to improve happens. And I don't think he's there. I think he's still in that sweet spot for I don't know how long. For could be a year, could be 5. But he just keeps getting crisper.
He placed 8th or 9th at the Olympia. I think 9th.
He was behind
Rafael Brandão. It was Bonac in 7th. Bonac in 7th, Brandão in 8th, and Brandon in 9th at the Olympia. That's not Brandon Curry. This physique at the Olympia, he would have never been 9th place.
But he stumbled around because he had the whole coaching thing, going out to Kuwait a little bit later than what the old coach wanted him to be. He thought he was on time enough. So it was a little bit of disarray in the camp the last time. So we'll chalk that up if that's what happened.
I'm calling it right now. I think Brandon Curry is the next coming of Dexter Jackson. I think he will be at the Masters Olympia. And let me tell you, some people speculated that Kai Green might be there.
I was going to ask you.
Kai Green, I have a message for you, okay? If you are going to Tokyo, Japan at the Masters Olympia, you need to get your mind into it, because you're about to face a force by the name of Brandon Curry. This guy's not playing around.
Well, I thought, and this is where I'm interested to know, could be speculation, could be just gossip and clickbait. I thought someone said, Tarek El-Gindi says Brandon Curry doing Masters of Mr. Olympia.
I spoke to him, Chris and I spoke to him at the lobby at the Hilton, Columbus, and I said, after this result, are you going to the Masters? And he said yes. So that's a formal confirmation that man is going. I saw Kai
He's
Green
going for
there.
sure.
I saw Kai Green there. We shook hands. We didn't have time to speak. But listen, Kai, here's the deal, okay? Can I sit down so I can look at the camera?
Let's sit down.
I have
Put
a
the
message.
camera on him.
I have a message for Kai Green, okay?
All
Put
right,
the camera
let's
on
get down
me.
to business.
Okay? Kai Green, listen to me. Everybody in the bodybuilding industry loves you, adores you, and would love to see you at the Masters Olympia. If you come back, you're going to break the internet. But if you don't come back and you're teasing us one more time, we're never going to believe you again, okay? It is what it is. If you're teasing it one more time, the next time we're never going to believe you. But if you come back, you're going to break the internet.
Well, Tarek, this whole segment talking about Kai coming back to the Masters Olympia was one of our viewers. Shadow, thank you for that, saying, hey, guys, talk about Kai Green and the Masters. Another one of our viewers, I don't know who this is, P. Heath, I don't know who that is, said,
Phil Heath?
could be, said, Kai, if you come back to the Masters Olympia, please don't whip Brandon in the face. I don't know what it means.
Don't hair whip him.
Don't hair whip him.
Let me tell you, Phil Heath was walking around.
He's still mad about that.
At some point, he had his guns out, and I said to myself, he might have the best guns here in the entire show. I mean, he's not competing. He hasn't competed, and he just went like this, and his bicep just popped out. And I was like, damn, this guy hits a frontable biceps. He might win that shot here at the Arnold.
Well, we know all of these guys that are training that hard, Tarek. They're supplementing hard because you have to have the right supplements to perform well. What would you take?
I would go with Pro Zero from Global Formulas. Here's the deal. When you look at a lot of these protein shakes, they have added sugar. They have a ton of stuff that you don't need. Jacob Frank from Global Formulas has created a protein that has 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 0 fat, and 0 cholesterol. This is 100% goodness, and you don't find this goodness, yes. 100% goodness, and you don't find this in protein shakes.
What about repair? We have anything for repair?
Absolutely. You have here the repair. If you're Chris Cormier and you had a crazy workout, then you went out and had 2 bottles of vodka, you're going to need some repair. Now, if you are Tim Wilkins and you live 365 days with abs, but you want your deep obliques, you need some BioHeat from Global Formulas.
Well, and like all of Jacob and Global formulas and formulations, they are created for maximum absorption and maximum use by the body. So
you have
we thank
anything
them.
if you want to get freaky?
Well, then you got the super freak right here. I'm surprised Jacob has not had your picture here with the yellow banana. B-roll, Chris Cormier with the yellow banana.
The banana hammock.
Banana hammock.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, we thank Global Formulas. Be sure to check out their website for all their amazing products. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell us all your thoughts on this episode and who you think is going to qualify and make it to the big show. And tell us what you think about Kai and Brandon in a heads-up at the Masters Olympia. Chris Cormier.
Oh, Lynn, Chris.
All in. Camp Cormier, hashtag infomercial. Tarek, thanks as always.
Great to be here. I'll keep my global formulas nice and tight.
All right. Tim Wilkins for Primetime Muscle. We'll see you next time.